Madam President, this conflict began with a decision by Hassan Nasrallah. It was Nasrallah who chose to tie his fate and that of Hezbollah with Hamas. He linked their war with the one Hamas has waged against Israel, knowing full well that it would bring suffering upon Lebanon and Israel. And this council was warned. On September 20, I stood before you and urged you to act before it was too late. I told you, and I quote, "When the time comes, do not look to us for blame in protecting our people. Now is your time to speak up and act before we have to. Your silence has forced our hand. Now, as we face the consequences of Nasrallah's decision, we must also look forward. Just as I said yesterday when we discussed the future of Gaza without a Hamas-run regime, today we must discuss the future of Lebanon, a Lebanon freed from Hezbollah's grip. The Lebanese people have suffered too long under the tyranny of this terrorist organization. We all know the ending of this conflict. Hezbollah will be pushed back north of the Litani River. But who will enforce that situation? How can we ensure it will not be ignored all over again? Who will oversee its maintenance? The answer lies in the hands of the Lebanese army and UNIFIL. They must step up. Not only must they fulfill their current duties under Resolution 1701, but we must reform those obligations. The mechanisms in place must be enhanced and altered, so we do not find ourselves back here in the same situation in another few years. Colleagues, the time has come for the Council to finally act on Resolution 1701. We have called for its full implementation for years, while warning of Hezbollah's violations. Yet our calls have gone unheeded, with some on the Council choosing to place the blame on Israel's shoulders. But it is not just Israel that requires your action. The Lebanese people, held hostage by this terror organization, need it too. Hezbollah has established a terrorist state within a failed state. Just 2 days ago, a UN Security Council report acknowledged that despite nearly 2 decades since the adoption of Resolution 1559, Hezbollah remains the most heavily armed militia in Lebanon. Their advanced weapons have robbed Lebanon of authority over its own territory. The Lebanese army, along with UNIFIL, must step up to their responsibilities and regain control. The failure to do so has led to the devastation we see now. The situation along the Blue Line remains volatile, and Israel is in close contact with UNIFIL regarding their safety. We have recommended UNIFIL forces temporarily relocate 5 kilometers north to avoid danger as fighting intensifies. While UNIFIL has chosen to stay, Israel strongly urges them to reconsider this precautionary move to protect their personnel. Let me be clear. Israel has no desire to be in southern Lebanon. Our goal is to protect our people, not to occupy Lebanese territory. But to prevent this from happening again, the Council must ensure the right mechanisms are in place for the Lebanese army and UNIFIL meet their obligations. I wish to address the Lebanese representative, Mr. Hasham. I have listened to your words and condemnations very carefully. But the truth is, you should be sitting next to me, not next to the Iranian representative. Because whether you can admit it or not, Israel, Lebanon, and the free world are on the same side against the Islamic regime of Iran. Do you not wish to see your nation once again establish its own sovereignty? Do you not wish to chart your own course rather than pay the price for Hezbollah's war? Do you not wish to see your people prosper rather than suffer at the hands of Iranian proxies? All of us should declare shoulder to shoulder, that Iran must keep its blood-stained hands off Lebanon. Again, I listen to when you speak very carefully what you have said today and in the past, that Lebanon is for the Lebanese people, that your people and government reject war and want Resolution 1701's implementation. I could not agree more. And I would like to approach the Lebanese people. I will do it in Arabic. أتوجه للمواطنين اللبنانية وأقول أرض لبنان تابعة للبنانيين فقط وليست للإيرانيين. To the people of Lebanon, I say this: Lebanon belongs to the Lebanese, not to the Iranians. Today, the Lebanese people and their government have the perfect opportunity to throw off the yoke of Hezbollah's terrorism, free your people from their tyranny, reclaim your sovereignty, and banish Iran's destructive influence from your borders. Colleagues, beneath the earth, hidden from the worldview, we discovered a Hezbollah tunnel that intruded into Israeli territory. This was not an isolated act. Alongside the tunnel, we found detailed maps of our northern kibbutzim, weapons and anti-tank missiles and explosive devices. They were preparing for years for a terror campaign very similar to the horrors of October 7, but we stopped them. I urge you to imagine what this council would be discussing today if we hadn't. Entire communities would have been erased, children torn from their homes. This was Hezbollah's plan. It is a plan we will continue to dismantle. Israel will continue its operations. We will degrade Hezbollah's capabilities, remove their ability to launch attacks against our people, diminish the terror network that stretches across the south of Lebanon. Our soldiers are now in the field along the border in Lebanon, exposing and dismantling Hezbollah's infrastructure. Hezbollah has brought this upon itself. And while Israel will do what it must to protect its people, this council must do what it was created to do: ensure international peace and security. Resolution 1701 and 1559 must be enforced. We are fulfilling our obligations to ensure this, and the Council must support us in our efforts. We have over 70,000 internal refugees because of Hezbollah's rockets. 70,000 children who should be safe in their homes, playing in their backyards, learning in classrooms, are now displaced within their own country. And yet, despite the horrors, this Council stood silent as we pleaded for action. Council members, look to the future and the reality we all strive for: a future without Hezbollah terrorizing Israel and Lebanon, a sovereign Lebanon, and a future of calm. If this is the future you truly seek, there is only one path forward: implementing Resolution 1701 and 1559. Demand that the Lebanese army and UNIFIL finally fulfill their obligations and take up the tasks they are mandated to carry out. Support Israel in our necessary operations to push Hezbollah back to the Litani River. Let this be the day when you do not remain silent. Let this be the day when you stand with Israel and the Lebanese people against the forces of terror. Let this be the day you choose action over silence. I thank you, Madam President.